Exactly 6 days ago, you felt a sudden wave of unexplained exhaustion, like you were deep in the trenches, fighting a battle you couldn't see. You likely woke up at 3 a.m. with a heavy chest, wondering why you felt like giving up. You thought it was just depression or old age. No, that was a coordinated strike by the ops, specifically an energy vampire disguised as a friend, who took your photo to a dark altar. They literally spent 3 months' worth of their pension trying to steal your main character energy and block your level up. But God stepped in with divine immunity. The spell didn't just fail, it triggered an instant return to sender. There is a dead body in this story, but I promise you, it is not yours. What the enemy meant for your destruction, God is using for your vindication season. This attack is the undeniable proof that you are about to make a quantum leap into your harvest. Type 777 in the comments if you are ready to claim your victory and watch the table be prepared in the presence of your enemies now. We need to have a hard conversation, a family meeting, just you and me. I need you to take a deep breath, because what I am about to tell you might shake you. It might hurt your heart at first, but the truth is the only thing that can set you free. You are probably asking yourself a question. Who did this? Who hates me this much? You are scanning your mind. You are thinking about your enemies. You are thinking about that person who yelled at you in traffic, or maybe an old boss who fired you years ago. Stop. Stop looking out there. You need to look closer, much closer. The person who walked into that dark room with your photo, the person who paid for your destruction. It is not a stranger. It is not someone who doesn't know your name. It is someone who has sat at your dinner table. It is someone who has hugged you. It is someone who smiles in your face every single Sunday at church. It is someone who comments on your pictures with heart emojis and says they are so proud of you. This is the hardest pill to swallow. The betrayal never comes from your enemies. It always comes from your circle. We call these people NPCs. That stands for non-player characters. In the spiritual realm, they are empty shells. They look like friends, they act like family, but inside, there is no depth, there is no soul connection. They are just observing you. They are the ops. That is what the young people call the opposition. But they are disguised as your biggest supporters. Why do they hate you? That is the question keeping you up at night. Why? Because you shine. It is that simple, and it is that tragic. You have something they cannot buy. You have something they cannot fake. You have main character energy. You walk into a room and the atmosphere changes. You don't even try. You just exist, and people are drawn to you. Animals are drawn to you. Children smile at you, and that person, the one watching you from the shadows, they can't stand it. They are matrix agents. Their whole job in this life is to try and keep you small, to keep you in line, to keep you quiet. Oh, let's talk about the photo. To do this kind of dark work, to really try and hurt a child of God, they couldn't just use any old picture. They didn't want a picture where you looked sad. They didn't want a picture where you looked tired or messy. No, they wanted your light. This person, this so-called friend, they spent hours stalking your social media. They went to your profile. They didn't look at what you posted yesterday. They scrolled back. They went back weeks, maybe even 2 months. Do you remember that photo you posted about 2 months ago? Close your eyes and think. You were smiling, not a fake smile, a real one that reached your eyes. Maybe you were at a wedding. Maybe you were just sitting in your garden with a cup of coffee. Maybe you had just gotten your hair done. You looked radiant. You looked like you were finally healing. You looked like you had peace. That was your glow-up. That was the moment your spirit was shining the brightest. And that is exactly why they chose it. They saw that photo, and they didn't feel happy for you. They felt a rage so hot it burned them. They looked at your top 1% mindset radiating through the screen, and they said, I want to destroy that. They wanted to steal that spiritual asset. They wanted to take that joy and turn it into ash. Because here is the secret. To break a person who is already down is easy, but to break a person who is flying high, to knock a bird out of the sky when it is soaring, that creates a bigger crash that causes more pain. So they downloaded that specific photo. They didn't just screenshot it. They wanted high quality. They took it to a printing shop. They printed it on glossy paper, large size. They held your face in their hands, and they poured all their jealousy into it. And then they paid the price. I want you to really hear me on this part, because this shows you how sick they are. This wasn't cheap, real dark work, the kind that leaves a mark. It costs money. This person claims they are struggling. This person, who maybe even borrowed money from you in the past, they scraped together every dime they had. We are talking about the equivalent of 3 months of a pension check, 3 months of hard labor. Imagine, just imagine for a second, hating someone so much that you would take your rainy day fund, the money for your medicine, the money for your rent, the money for your grandchildren, and you would hand it over to a stranger just to see someone else fail. That is pathological. That is a sickness of the soul. They racked up a karmic debt so high they will never be able to pay it off. They invested in your downfall. They thought they would get a return. They thought seeing you cry would be their prize. But they didn't understand how the economy of heaven works. They didn't understand infinite ROI, return on investment. When you dig a ditch for a child of God, you are the one who falls into it. But they didn't care. They were blinded by the darkness. They handed over the cash. They handed over your photo. And they waited. They went home. They made dinner. They watched TV, all while thinking, soon, she will lose everything. Now, let's walk through the valley. Let's talk about the last 7 days, because I know you have been feeling crazy. I know you have been questioning your own mind. Exactly 6 days ago, the ritual began while you were sleeping, while you were safe in your bed, in a room smelling of sulfur and burnt herbs. Your photo was placed in the center of a dark altar. This happened during the witching hour, exactly at 3:10 a.m. Have you been waking up at 3:00 a.m. lately, wide awake, heart pounding, feeling a sudden wash of anxiety? That wasn't insomnia. That was your spirit alarm going off. For 7 nights, they worked on you. They tried to perform a timeline shift. You were on a path to blessings. You were on a path to your quantum leap, and they wanted to shift you onto a timeline of tragedy. They wanted to force a plot twist in your character development arc that ended in ruin. On the first night, they took pins, 7 of them. They didn't just poke the paper randomly. No, it was calculated. It was surgical. They put a pin in your head. Did you have a headache this week? A migraine that medicine couldn't touch? A fog so thick you couldn't remember where you put your keys? You felt like you were losing your mind. That was the first pin. They put a pin in your heart. Did you feel a sudden wave of grief? Did you find yourself crying in the kitchen for no reason? Did you feel a heaviness in your chest, like an elephant was sitting on you? That wasn't depression. That was the attack on your emotions. They put pins in your hands and feet. They wanted to stop your progress. They wanted to paralyze you. Did you feel stuck this week? Again, no matter how hard you tried, you couldn't get anything done, like you were walking through mud. That was them, trying to nail you down, trying to keep you from your destiny. They chanted your name over and over, 144 times, calling for your destruction. Calling for you to lose your job, calling for your family to turn against you, calling for your health to fail. They were trying to do shadow work on you without your permission. They were sending energy vampires to suck the life out of you, and you felt it. I know you felt it. Let's validate what you went through, because the enemy loves to make you think you are just getting old, or that you are just sensitive. Think back to Tuesday, or maybe Wednesday. You felt exhausted, not just tired, I mean bone-weary, soul-tired. You slept for 8 hours, but you woke up feeling like you had run a marathon. Why? Because your spirit was up all night fighting. While your body slept, your spiritual asset, your guardian angel, was at war. You were in the trenches. You were fighting off arrows you couldn't see. And the dreams. Let's talk about the dreams. Did you have nightmares? Did you see snakes? Did you see dirty water? Did you see yourself lost in a house you didn't recognize? Or worse, did you see faces? Did you see people you know looking at you with cold, dead eyes? That wasn't just a dream. That was a revelation. That was God showing you the ops. That was God showing you the gatekeepers who are trying to block your blessing. You felt watched. You could be alone in your house, doors locked, curtains drawn, but the hair on the back of your neck stood up. You felt a presence. You felt a cold draft. You walked into a room and felt like you needed to leave immediately. You started dropping things. You started forgetting words. You felt clumsy. You felt weak. You thought, maybe I need to see a doctor. Maybe something is wrong with me. Listen to me closely. There is nothing wrong with you. You are not sick. You are not crazy. And you are not losing your touch. You were under pressure testing. The enemy does not attack empty houses. A thief does not break into a house that has nothing in it. They attacked you because you are full. They attacked you because you are a high-value individual in the kingdom. They wanted to block your level up. They knew. Somehow their dark spirits knew that you were right at the edge of something huge. You're about to step into a new season, a season of milk and honey. And they wanted to stop it. They wanted to break your bank account before the money came. They wanted to break your body before the healing came. They wanted to break your mind before the wisdom came. It was a strategic military operation against your soul. But there is one thing they forgot, one tiny detail they overlooked. And this detail is the reason you are still standing here listening to me. This detail is the reason why their plan didn't just fail. It backfired. They forgot that you are built different. They looked at you and saw a normal woman. They saw a quiet neighbor. They saw a nice lady. They didn't see the warrior. They didn't see the bloodline. They didn't see the seal of protection on your forehead. They tried to hack into your system. They thought you were an easy target. But they ran into a firewall they couldn't get past. They didn't know you had divine immunity. And when you have that kind of protection, when you have walked through the fire and come out not smelling like smoke, you become dangerous to the darkness. So, they pushed hard. For 6 days, they threw everything they had at you, and your body took the hit. You wobbled, you stumbled, you cried, but you did not fall. You are like a tree planted by the water. The wind blew, the storm raged, the leaves shook, but the roots held strong, because your roots are wrapped around the rock of ages, and on the 7th night, the night they planned for your destruction, the night they thought would be your end, something happened that even the witch didn't expect. The energy shifted, the atmosphere changed. You see, there is a law in the spirit realm. It is called return to sender. It is the ultimate FAFO. You know what that means. Fool around and find out. They fooled around with God's anointed, and they were about to find out exactly who protects you. The spell didn't land on you. It bounced. Imagine a rubber ball thrown against a brick wall as hard as possible. What happens? Does it go through the wall? No, it comes back, fast, hard, and straight at the person who threw it. That is what happened while you were sleeping last night. The headache you had, it lifted. The heaviness in your chest, it evaporated. The brain fog, it cleared up. But somewhere else, across town, or maybe across the street, someone else started screaming. Someone else grabbed their chest. Someone else fell to their knees. The karmic debt came due, and the bill collector didn't knock on the door. He kicked it down. You survived the ritual, you survived the symptoms, you survived the betrayal, and now comes the part where we talk about what happened to them. Now comes the part where we look at the wreckage. Not to gloat. We don't rejoice in the death of the wicked, but we do acknowledge the justice of the Lord. You need to understand that this was vindication season. They tried to dig a grave for you. They measured it. They dug it deep, they prepared the dirt, but this morning If you go look at that grave, you won't find your name on the headstone. You're about to find out why the ambulance was called. You're about to find out why the phone call stopped. Because you are the outlier. You are the one who breaks the curve. You are the one who cannot be cursed. Stay with me, because you need to know how this ends. You need to know that the battle is over, and you have already won. Now, let's go back to that room. The room with the candles. The room where your photo was sitting on the table. Something happened on the 7th night. Something that defies the laws of physics. The witch. The one who had done this 1,000 times before. She raised her hand to strike the final blow. She raised her hand to curse your future. But her hand stopped in midair. It wasn't because she wanted to stop. It was because she physically couldn't move. She felt a resistance, like she was trying to punch through a steel wall with her bare fist. The air in the room got hot, uncomfortably hot. The candles didn't just flicker, they went out, all at once, in that terrified moment. The witch realized something crucial. She realized she had made a terrible mistake. She looked at your photo, and she didn't just see a woman smiling anymore. She saw a blinding light. She saw a warrior standing behind you. She realized too late that you are built different. You are not just a regular person walking down the street. You have divine immunity. Most people, they have a little fence around their spirit. But you have a fortress. When they tried to hack into your energy field, when they tried to plant sickness in your body, they hit a firewall. It wasn't just a simple block, it was a spiritual system update from heaven. The moment the attack came close, your spirit said, "Access denied." This is what separates the chosen ones from everyone else. You have an unfair advantage. You are covered by a bloodline protection that goes back generations. It acts like a war tank. They were throwing pebbles at a tank, and they expected the tank to break. Now. This is where the story turns. This is where we talk about the bounce back. You need to understand a spiritual law. It is as real as gravity. When a curse hits a mirror, it doesn't disappear. It reflects. The spell they cast, the sickness they wished on you, the poverty they wished on your bank account, it didn't just stop, it mirrored, it turned around, and it looked for its owner. This is the definition of FAFO. That is a spiritual term. It means, fool around and find out. They messed with God's anointed. And they triggered instant karma. The witch felt it first. She started coughing. She felt a sharp pain in her chest. She grabbed the money on the table, the money your so-called friend paid her, and she threw it on the floor. She knew. She picked up the phone. Her hands were shaking. She called the person who hired her. She said, "Come get your money, come get your photo. I cannot finish this." She said, "This woman is protected. This woman has guardians I have never seen before. Souls this protected shouldn't be touched." She was in a panic. She wanted to refund the transaction. She wanted to wash her hands of the whole thing, because she knew that return to sender was already in motion, and she didn't want to be in the way when the train came crashing through. But the person who hates you, the person with the obsession, they didn't listen. And that brings us to the tragedy, you would think. That was after the first failure, after the first witch gave the money back, that your enemy would stop. You would think they would take it as a sign to leave you alone, a sign to repent. But hatred is a drug, and they were addicted. Some people are so addicted to their jealousy, they ignore the warning signs. They act like gatekeepers of your happiness. They believe it is their job to make sure you never succeed. So, they did the unthinkable. They took the money back, and they went to find someone else, someone darker, someone who didn't care about the consequences. They doubled down. They found a second witch. They paid double the price. They said, "Do whatever it takes, just destroy her." They wanted to block your blessings so badly. They were willing to risk their own soul. But here is the thing about divine immunity. It doesn't run out. It doesn't get tired. The second ritual began, but this time, The response from heaven wasn't a warning, it was a judgment. And now, we have to talk about the dead body mentioned in the title of this video. About 3 days after the second attempt, your enemy started feeling strange. It started with a headache, a pressure behind the eyes that wouldn't go away. They took pills, it didn't help. Then came the nausea, they couldn't eat, they couldn't sleep, they felt weak. Like their energy was draining out of a hole in their foot. They went to the doctor. The doctors ran tests. They looked at the charts. They were confused. They said, "We see your organs failing, but we don't know why. We don't see a virus. We don't see a cause. It looks like your body is just shutting down." This person, who was healthy 2 weeks ago, it was suddenly fading away. They were in a hospital bed, surrounded by machines, and I truly wonder, if in those final quiet moments they thought about you. I wonder if they thought about the photo. I wonder if they realized that the grave they dug for you, it was actually for themselves. It happened fast. Within a week, they were gone. The official cause? Multiple organ failure of unknown origin. But you and I know the truth. We know what really happened. This is vindication season. God promised you that He would prepare a table before you in the presence of your enemies. But sometimes He removes the enemy from the table entirely. God is handing you the receipts of their wickedness. He is showing you the invoice, paid in full. Now, I need you to listen to me very carefully, because the devil will try to make you feel guilty. You did not do this. You didn't light a candle. You didn't stick a pin in a doll. You didn't pray for their death. You stayed in your lane. You kept your hands clean. You prayed for peace. You focused on your family. You didn't have to lift a single finger. You just focused on your own level up. You focused on healing your heart. And God took care of the rest. This was infinite ROI, return on investment on your faith. You trusted God to protect you, and He delivered a protection so strong, it sent the attack back to the source. They paid the price. You reaped the protection. It is tragic. Yes, we mourn the loss of a soul, but we also respect the justice of the Creator. This is not revenge. Revenge is when you throw a stone back. Justice is when the stone they threw bounces off your shield and hits them. You are innocent, your hands are clean, and your path is now clear. So here you are, still standing. The smoke has cleared. The battle is over, and you are the last one on the field. Why did you survive? Why are you still here while they are gone? Because you have a mission. You are still here because you are a Sigma mindset warrior. You are solitary. You are strong. You are deeply connected to the source. You are breaking the cycle. Think about your family. Think about the history of pain. The history of poverty, the history of abuse. Someone had to stop it. Someone had to be the wall that said, "No more." That person is you. You are the outlier. You are the one who took all the pain, all the loneliness, all the rejection, and turned it into power. You survived because you are operating in God mode. When you are in God mode, no weapon formed against you can prosper. They can form the weapon. They can sharpen the weapon, they can aim the weapon, but it will not work. You have proven that. So, what do you do now? You walk with your head high. You don't walk in fear anymore. You don't look over your shoulder. The energy vampires tried to drink from you, and they choked. The Matrix agents tried to silence you, and they were silenced. You have entered the inner circle of divine protection. I want you to take a moment, right now, and feel the peace in your body. The exhaustion is leaving. The brain fog is lifting. The weight on your chest is gone. That is the feeling of victory. Now, I have a job for you, a small act of faith to seal this protection. If you know, in your spirit, that you survived this attack, if you know that God blocked it for you, and if you are ready to walk into your season of freedom without looking back, I want you to go to the comments right now, and I want you to write 3 numbers. 7 and 77. 7 is the number of God. It is the number of perfection. It is the number of completions. By writing 777, you are telling the universe, it is finished, the attack is over, the curse is broken. And my blessing is here. Don't just watch this video and leave. Leave your mark, claim your territory, and listen. If you feel like you need more tools, if you want to understand how to keep this system update running, how to keep your spiritual firewall active so nothing can ever touch you again, check the link below this video. There is a guide there. It is a manual for warriors like you. It will teach you how to maintain your high-value status in the spirit realm. You didn't just survive, chosen one, you won. Welcome to your harvest. Welcome to your new life. God bless you. And I will see you in the next video.